Hi folks, this is all the fruit. I'm in Heidelberg, Germany, and here the sidewalk and part of the road are covered with pears. An old pear tree, probably close to 80 years at least, maybe even older. Here in the garden of the Heidelberg Teachers College, a building which always reminded me of Hogwarts from Harry Potter. Very old building with some quite interesting flora and fauna, and it seems also with some interesting fruit trees, like for example those old plums. Well, plums, did I say plums? I meant pears, of course. I hope I said plums only once. I might have said plums at the beginning. You know, those of course pears, folks. And pears in southwestern Germany are notoriously hard to identify. Well, all those fruit, especially those old varieties which were not recorded properly, are quite hard to identify. But with stuff like cherries or apples or plums, this time I mean plums, if you have a proper variety which was planted in order to be sold as fruit, here you can get lucky mostly, because this area, southwestern Germany, has been a big fruit producing area, and at least since the end of the 19th century, when we got railroads throughout this area, it started exporting fruits throughout Germany. Northern Germany, Eastern Germany, even Northern Italy, Austria, England, Scandinavia. Southwestern Germany is an area with pretty early fruiting seasons compared to most of the rest of Central Europe. And a lot of fruit were planted for export, and that's why, or for sale, and that's why most of them are some proper varieties. Not so with the pears. A lot of those pear trees were planted actually for cider, not for human consumption, but for cider. The cider pears were usually softer, sweeter, but also more tart. Well, sweeter because you need a lot of sugar for cider, softer because you need to squeeze them out, and tart because the tartness didn't matter. In the cider it would be transformed to some nicer taste. And so those cider pears, they are usually no proper variety, but if you had some mutation which was sweet and soft, you would simply propagate it without caring much about the variety. It would just go into the cider, which was usually not even pear cider, but just pear and apple mixed cider, also mixed together with some service, tree fruit and medlars and other stuff. But I think that this is maybe not a pear cider. Well, it is very soft. You can see the fruit fell on the ground and the wasps had no trouble. Well, there are thousands of wasps around here, flying around my ears, landing on me. As you can see, the wasps love them. Look at that. That fruit here, for example, is covered with over a dozen wasps. Ain't that amazing? Cute little insects. Well, around their foods they are not as aggressive as they are around their nests. Well, as you can see, the fruit are really soft because the wasps, they manage to eat them out and leave them like some Halloween pumpkins. Here, just the skin in some crazy patterns, and here in this one, there are like more than 10 wasps hiding in the nooks and crannies of this single pear. Okay, so they're quite soft. Now, if they're quite sweet and tart, you can be sure that those are cider pears. Early cider pears were of course very popular, and there is actually a very famous variety around here. I think it was called Bleibirne, which was lost for many decades and then rediscovered in one single tree in Heidelberg. I don't know if this is the same one. Let's see first. Let's taste it. Let's find out if it's a cider pear or a dessert pear. Nice and sweet. No tartness. not as sweet as those little summer pears, which go away from my feet. But those usually also tends to be a little bit yellowish. They're even more sweet and have more flavor. I wonder if those are early fruit, but no, they seem to be perfectly ripe. Let's try this one. Well, there were like 20 wasps sitting under that pear. I did not expect that. Let's try this one. It seems perfectly ripe. So how shall I describe it? Not as sweet as the sweet little yellowish summer pears, but still pretty sweet. Also no trace of tartness. Just sweet. Not very aromatic as far as pears go. Well, definitely a good pear for eating, as you can see here with the wasps. But is it really good as a dessert pear? I'm asking myself. It's very soft. I mean, you would have to climb those huge trees or put a ladder next to them and then collect those little pears and then put them in baskets so that they will survive a transport to the market and to the people's homes. I think this might be one of those varieties which can be used as dessert pears and also as cider pears. The ones which are very well preserved, which you can collect from the tree, you can store quite carefully because the prices in summer are quite high. The pear prices in summer were quite high because there were few pear varieties, so you could basically store them very carefully and sell them on the national and international fruit market, and whatever fell to the ground is soft and sweet enough to make some nice summer cider out of them. Very interesting. Well, there are pomologists here in the area. I can ask them what tree this is. This is old enough so that probably somebody knows what it is. But yeah, quite interesting. So I found some pear which can be used as dessert pear and also as cider pear, and which is equally suited for both uses. And look at the amount of pears, folks. Here where they shoveled the pears from the sidewalk into the garden, the ground is covered. So this tree is producing probably several 100 kilograms of those tiny pears. So you can make a big barrel of cider from those. Probably even if after you sold a lot of them. Wonderful. Wonderful pear. So folks, this was some interesting green summer pear and some quite loud Serbians over there. But whatever. This was some quite tasty sweet summer pear, and I'll try to find out the variety. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful and historic city of Heidelberg, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.